Lately, I've become really interested in super compact wireless mic setups for a lot of reasons, the biggest one being that they make good audio, very simple and very accessible to pretty much everyone. They come in at a variety of price points with all kinds of different features, but at the end of the day, you can spend a relatively small amount of money and get something that's going to level up the quality of your audio exponentially. And while they don't necessarily sound as good as a studio microphone or something like a really nice, shotgun microphone, a broadcast quality microphone, you might say, there are a lot of people for whom this is not practical. It doesn't fit with the kind of work that they do, it doesn't fit within their budget, it doesn't fit within their technical skills or comfort, or it's just not the thing that they want to use to make the stuff that they want to make. So today I want to use one of these tiny microphone sets to record and publish an entire podcast episode using just my phone, because if you're watching this video or whatever you normally consume podcasts with, that device probably has to have an internet connection, probably has some kind of recording capabilities, and I've seen so many people get stuck in gear purgatory where they want to start a podcast or YouTube channel or whatever, but they think they need to have all of the really nice gear first before they can get started. And then a lot of people end up never getting started that way, or they put themselves into debt, all kinds of things that are probably not ideal. A minimal investment in a mic setup can be all that you need to start podcasting right away. So today I'm gonna be using one of my mobile podcast setups. This is not sponsored by Hollyland. This video does have a sponsor, which is Buzzsprout, and I'll talk about that later. The Hollyland Lark A1, I've kind of become obsessed with this. This is the most tricked out version you can get. It has a charging case, it has 2 transmitters, and it also has 2 receivers, one Lightning receiver and one USB-C. So you can use it with phones, you can use it with tablets, computers, whatever. This whole tricked out version, MSRP is $65. There are other versions too, where if you just need a single transmitter, you don't need the charging case. I think you can get just a transmitter and a receiver for like $35. So if you need just the absolute basics, you can do that. I have been using this pretty much anytime I need to record stuff with my phone for months now, or also just simple things with my computer like video calls and stuff and Discord since I got this. And the reason I have this set up right here is because my wife Heather and I are going to be recording an episode of my podcast, The Enthusiasm Project, using the Hollyland A1 and my phone, and then after that I will show you how to edit it and publish it using just my phone. And I am going to put the windscreens on these little transmitters, even though it makes them less compact, because I do want to make sure we don't have to worry about plosives or anything, because I am recording a video version as well as publishing an audio version. And another thing I like about the Hollyland and why I recommend it, especially if you do a lot of phone projects, is when I connect it, there's still a USB power slot here. So even though this is a Lightning phone, I can now run USB-C into it to power the phone if I need to for a longer project. And then what I'm using to record this time is the Rode Capture app, which you might notice I'm using a Hollyland microphone with the Rode app, because if I click on the little mic icon, you can see it shows up as a wireless microphone. So if you're using a Rode mic with this app, you do get, some more controls over the microphone, but obviously any microphone works. In this case, the Hollyland is just showing up as a wireless microphone. But what's really cool about this app is what you're seeing right here. So I can actually use both my phone's cameras at once. This is the front-facing camera coming to me so I can keep track of everything, and then the rear-facing camera will be on Heather. Now I do know that this is not going to look or sound as good as my full-on normal podcasting setup, using a broadcast microphone into a Rodecaster, into Ecamm Live and graphics and processing and all of that kind of stuff. But again, if we're talking about simplicity, I can just take the simple wireless microphone, use a free app on my phone to record 2 people at the same time, and then use my phone to publish that podcast. So that accessibility, the law of diminishing returns is very, very real. And if you're somebody who's looking to just get started in the world of podcasting, this could be the perfect workflow. Okay, hello Heather.
Hi.
Thank you for helping me with this.
You're welcome.
It's gonna be a good episode. Here's your microphone. So using the Rode Capture app, since the phone is in one spot and we're different heights, it is a little bit tricky to do framing. So I had to make sure to adjust our heights, and I try to do the split screen. If we just look at each other, we should kind of be looking inward instead of out, but we're gonna see.
Looking at each other.
That's the goal, is we just have a conversation. Because look at me right now.
Look at you. Okay.
Yeah. Okay, I think it'll work, because if I look at you, I'm kind of looking in. If you look at me, you're kind of looking in, and then that means we're, oh, I'm not hitting record. Let me hit record, because then we can also do a test.
Here's a test. I'm
Yay.
looking at you.
Yeah.
Across the phone.
And I'm looking at you, looking at me, look at you.
I feel like the impact that's happening on our members is justifiable. Like it's life-changing impact. So my job is like, how do I share that and, show people how important it is that this exists.
Right.
Right. For anybody who wants to be a part of it, it's great. But also, this is just such a good thing. Like, it's genuine connection. And I feel like in this world, we could use a little more fun.
Everything worked great, and Heather and I ended up talking for over an hour using this setup. It was an awesome conversation and a great podcast episode. And before I jump into the editing and uploading portion, I want to tell you about the sponsor of this video, which is Buzzsprout, my podcast host that I'm uploading this to. If you're not familiar with Buzzsprout, they are an awesome podcast host that gives you everything you need to basically produce the best podcasts possible. So if you want to get listed in all of the major directories, if you want tools to help your show sound its best, if you want resources to level up your podcasting skills, if you want monetization, if you want to interact with your audience, basically anything and everything that comes to do with podcasting, Buzzsprout has you covered to not only help you start podcasting, but to keep podcasting. And more than just being the sponsor of this video, Buzzsprout has been incredibly supportive of me in my own journey as both a podcaster and a YouTube creator, and getting to know people at Buzzsprout over the years. I really can attest that they are all incredibly passionate about podcasting. Most of them have been in the podcasting universe like since the very beginning, which is going back, over 2 decades at this point. So there's tons of experience, tons of passion, and just tons of enthusiasm for everything related to podcasting from the entire Buzzsprout team. And as we'll talk about in this video, Buzzsprout does have a really awesome mobile app that lets you manage everything from your show, including uploading and scheduling and publishing right from your phone. So use the link in the description if you're looking for a podcast host and you think Buzzsprout might be a good fit to help you share your show with the world. And now let's jump into the editing and publishing part of this workflow, which does include a few considerations that you need to keep in mind when working with large files on a mobile device. So now that we finished our podcast episode, which worked really well, I was worried that the phone was gonna die or something, but luckily that didn't happen. We recorded for over an hour. I think our actual raw footage is an hour and 13 minutes of a podcast episode with a separate 4-minute intro. So I have 2 clips. That's normally how I do my podcast. It's relatively unedited, but the way it is now is not ready to upload, so I'm going to use iMovie on my phone to edit it, which is a free app on iPhones. If you're using an Android phone, I know there are other video editing apps, free ones as well, so you definitely don't have to pay for an editing app to edit your podcast that you're producing with your phone. And if you're doing an audio-only version of a podcast, it makes things even simpler because you could just use a voice memo app, and you don't need to worry about lights and cameras and all that stuff. You can just have your phone sit right here, any kind of recording thing with your microphone, and you'll be all set. But because last year I did start a video version of my podcast, I want to make sure I have a video to upload to YouTube and then also audio to upload to Buzzsprout, so that way I can publish to all the regular podcast directories. So in iMovie on my phone, I have a couple of different assets for the podcast. Basically, I just have my intro and my outro clip. And these are the things I would normally just play in Ecamm when I record into my computer, but instead I just put these clips into iMovie. So I need to add the clips from the podcast that I recorded just now. So we will add video. So now I have the podcast intro, I have me talking, which is the intro to the episode, and then I have the interview with Heather, so that's what it looked like there, and then I have the outro. So all I need to do is trim up a little bit of the beginning on these things, and we'll be all set. If I play this... audio is in the shot though.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Hello. So this fits what I normally do with the podcast, which is the intro song kind of fades and then my voice fades in, and I just used a cross dissolve in iMovie there. And you can kind of see too the audio from the intro drags out a little bit. We did a little bit of an L cut there if you want to use some lingo. Hello and welcome. My name is Tom. This is the Enthusiasm Project Season 14, Episode 2. There we go. And that's our sound from the microphones. Everything's looking good there. So I recorded this intro where it's just me talking and setting up the episode and explaining what's happening before bringing in Heather as my guest. So here's how that ends. And I don't know, I think that's fun. And the reason I'm using the Rode Capture app is because I do have a very special guest. So the Rode Capture app, you can use just one of the phone cameras or you can use the split screen, but you can't switch them live. So I needed to record my segment and then stop recording, do the side by side and start recording again. This cut, I'm not going to do a cross dissolve. I want to make this as just a solid cut. And that's both of us on the episode We Talk. Luckily, everything worked. I don't need to cut anything out here, thankfully. I was keeping an eye on the time, and if something did happen, dogs barked or we made a huge mistake or something, then I could go in and cut that out here. Fortunately, we don't need to, so I just need to find the end of the episode.
Rest of your week, and I'll see you next time.
Oh, that's like perfect as is. Okay, cool. We'll use our cross dissolve for the outro.
And I'll see you next time.
Perfect. So there we go. I have edited my podcast episode is 1 hour and 17 minutes long. And now we are ready to share that episode. So right here, what I can do is give it a new title. Oh, shoot. I need to come up with a title for this episode. So now I have my episode title here, and I can just click the share icon, export and share video. And this is going to take a few minutes to export. Might be a little bit more time since this is a long video. And then that'll just be in the videos folder on my phone. And then I can upload that to YouTube. And I'll also then need to take just the audio to share that with Buzzsprout. Now, exporting the project can potentially take a lot of time, because even though your phone can do everything that we need, it can create, edit, export, and upload, it does not have near the processing power of a computer. So, for example, exporting a 4K version of this project here, this podcast, took me well over an hour, and it created a 14 gigabyte file. So for YouTube, that's okay. I can upload that to the YouTube channel. Cool. I have this nice, crisp, good looking video. Fortunately, Buzzsprout does let you upload video files. If you want to just extract the audio from those, it'll do it for you automatically, but there is a 5 gigabyte file limit, which, keeping in mind that it's an audio platform, a 5 gigabyte audio file is pretty massive. So most podcasts don't come anywhere near that. And unfortunately, there's just not really a simple way in the iPhone to like click on a video and extract the audio, or just export audio only in iMovie. So my workaround there is to just export a smaller video file. And so when you're in iMovie, you can tap share, and then you can save or share the video. And there is an options icon here. And if I tap that, now you have 360 all the way through 4K resolution. And in this case, I actually just did 540p, and then I exported it that way, and that gave me a 3 gigabyte file instead of a 14 gigabyte file, but the audio still sounds fine. It still sounds just the same to me as the 4K file did. And so now that means I'm ready to upload the file to Buzzsprout to be the audio only version. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is just tap on an existing episode, and then we are going to edit this episode, and I'm gonna just copy the description, because I have a lot of stuff in my podcast that's just sort of in every episode, a lot of the basic info and everything. And now I have that copied. I can go back to my episode list, and there is an upload option in the upper right. If I tap that, it will then let me choose a file. I can go straight into my photo library, choose my 3 gigabyte file, and upload it. And so now while that's uploading, I can enter in info, starting with just pasting in my episode stuff that I copied from the previous episode. There are some things I'm going to need to change here, so I can delete things that are no longer relevant. I can update stuff. We're not using the warm audio mic, for example. We were using the Hollyland. And then my series and episode info, I can change that here. Season 14, episode 2, done. And we are going to save this until everything's ready. Now we need to come up with our description. So now I've got my episode ready to go, and I just need to wait for the upload to finish. Once the file has been uploaded, it still needs to process, so I'm going to tap on save. And again, this is set to unpublished. So I can see right here it says processing, and then the episode title. I'm going to go ahead and just wait until that's done processing, and then I will actually publish the episode. One thing I forgot to mention, if I go back to the upload screen for an episode, you do see I have magic mastering enabled. And I don't have power clean turned on. That's basically if you're in a really less than ideal scenario for recording an episode and you need your audio to be saved, like really saved. Power clean will kind of help with that, with some noise cleanup and stuff. I just have normal magic mastering enabled, and that was what was being used on the episode I just uploaded. I do that on all my episodes because it kind of helps normalize the audio. It just sort of helps polish things, even when I'm using something like a Rodecaster or whatever, or a super nice broadcast microphone, and I think things sound really good on the natural recording. I like magic mastering because it makes me confident that it will sound as good as possible on the widest variety of devices as possible. And I think that's extra important with this workflow, since I am using those Hollyland lapel microphones, which are not as high quality as my normal studio microphones would be. So now that the episode is finished processing, I can tap on it, and now from here is where I can make it public. I can double check everything is good to go, which I already did, so I know that it is. And then I just tap the 3 dots up here in the upper right and tap on publish. This is also where I could schedule it if I wanted to schedule it in advance, but right now I just want it to be publish now, and it's live. There we go. I published an actual podcast episode that I recorded today by filming and editing it entirely on my phone. So again, the goal here isn't to say that a phone is better than a traditional podcasting setup or vice versa. It's just to show another option, and especially in a situation and in a world where people can get hung up on gear, as fun as gear can be, it shouldn't be the thing that stops you from getting started. And so if you have a device that has an internet connection, some kind of recording capabilities, a very minimal investment in an external microphone can get you up in podcasting super quickly. Now, if you don't know where to begin when it comes to creating your podcast, I do have a complete podcast guide that will walk you through the entire process in detail, no matter what setup you're using from start to finish. So definitely be sure to check that out right here. Or here, wherever I put it, check it out.